Hello YouTube, this is a second power on of the C600T. For some reason I don't have the DVR from the first one, but the colour was really muted, so I turned it up on the goggles from 50, which I've never really moved it from for other cameras, up to 65, and I got an okay amount of colour. Straight under the desk here in a dark spot you can see it deals pretty well, and there's got to be 4, maybe 5 different colour temperatures of light in this room at the moment, and it deals pretty well. You can see it's a little shifted towards the red side, but not bad. It was dark when I powered on here, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to see how it worked at night. Now I've tried the 1000 TVL, which is my current favourite Nano cam out here, and it probably looks a little grainier than this, but the flyability is very similar in really dim light and harsh street lights. So I don't think this really qualifies as a night camera, but the contrast is pretty stable across that, and that's what frustrates me the most when that's jumping around all over the place. And you can see the red a little there as I come back in as it transitions. All I've done is turned the colour up a little bit. I haven't tried changing any hues or anything yet, but it's flyable, and once you give it a consistent light and lots of light, it seems to do a lot better. Yeah, just a little colour shift again, but not bad. Well, this is the next morning. Pretty bright sun outside, but no direct light at all. The sun's around the back of the house here. You can see gradations it still has a bit of a problem with, and the colour turned up to 100% here was just way too much. It's the red-blue shift is pretty fierce. Keep it out of the gradations of light and you get constant light, and this is pretty nice down here. Back up again, and nah, that's shocking. So 100% on the goggles is way too much. I'll be turning it back down to 90 and seeing how flyable this is, but yeah, I'm not digging that. Okay, excited for a flight. It just stopped raining, and this is a brand new Gowning battery. Now just as I get up in the air, I feel a little pulse of throttle, so I back off, and yeah, I'm in a tree. It also disarmed itself as well, so at this point I can hear a couple of the ESCs initializing. Now, there's a couple of things that bug me here. First is I'm running release candidate 6 for Betaflight 3.2, and I just haven't set up the small angle 180 yet, so I can't arm. I'm not flat, and a couple of days before this I lost my hat cam, my run cam, so this is between losing one and ordering another one, so I'm basically stomping around in a big puddle underneath here, and I've got no video to laugh at all. Gutting. I hate crashing without some good video, but at least I got a bit of DVR. So I can't actually reach the branch it's in, so I'm pulling a branch near to a branch that's near to it, and then slowly getting there. There's buses going past, there's people walking their dogs, and there's one gent that sat on the wall and just had a giggle for 20 minutes. When I finally got it back, he laughed and walked off, so I'm pretty sure at least he was entertained. It's not even that far out of the reach at the moment, but all I can do is really sort of swipe it with sticks. There was a thin thread that it looks like one of the props like sliced the bark off one of these wet sticks or wet twigs, and basically wrapped a long thread 30 centimeters or so around a motor, and it's just hanging on there. So I thought it was going to come off pretty easy, but nah, I was a solid 20-25 minutes stomping around in this puddle. I was absolutely soaked. In the end, thrashing and bashing it with sticks did get it to drop out, but it took a little bounce in the puddle. Not soaked, but definitely splashed. So I had 2 left ESCs glitching out on me here, so I still couldn't fly. But here's another example of no direct light, but there's quite a lot of gradation again from blues to whites with this sunrise, and a little bit of red and blue in there as well, which it seems to have the biggest problem with. The red-blue shift, it's just not that good. Straight down at the ground, it's pretty respectable, but again, up in that gradation, not great. Going from ultra dark to light is fine on the contrast, it really is good, but you just get that little bit of colour shift. If you keep it away from the sky mostly, and keep it fixed on the landscape, it's not bad. the contrast is really quite decent, and this is pretty tough environment light-wise for any of the other nano cams too. Now the colour isn't as natural and deeply saturated as I would have liked. It really does look like an after effect when it's bumped up with the goggles. Just not quite as luscious and real looking as some of the other cameras. Now this is the state of the ESCs on the left hand side. This is the underside of the board, and the output FET's near the wires. Far left and far right. At first I thought the one on the left was actually just a bit of residue of hot glue or something like that, but it's actually a bit chipped off the board. And then over here on the right side, another one. There's a bit chipped off, actually chunks of the FET's missing, and on the top right hand side here you can see some white goo, something that's seeped out and around from the FET. So I fully expected these to be broken, but I reflowed them, just a bit of hot air, and they work. They actually work. So no replacing FETs or ESCs on this one, just hot air. So we're all fixed up and the sun's lovely and bright, ready to go out for another fly. And I dropped the colour from 90 to 85, and it's still pretty good, but I changed the hue on the colour on the goggles. I don't have much control, just left or right, but I moved it towards the blue side. It's kind of got a blue and a red, and it's about 30% instead of 50-50. And there's a lot less colour shift, but this is another example of the camera in bright light. There's no gradations across the sky as such there, just bright light, and specifically bright daylight. So there's just one colour temperature there, and it does a cracking job. Really, really nice. Now with that said, it's not always an ideal sky. Pretty much every time I got out to fly, there's a large gradation across the sky, and this is pretty much the worst that this camera will perform. It is totally flyable at all times. I had no issue with seeing branches. It's nice and sharp. It's pretty good, but the colour looks a little added rather than saturated. There's no problems here using it as an actual FPV camera, apart from I didn't have enough tilt, so there was a few times I was going a little faster than my 25-30 degrees was really set up for. Now I will point out the widest part of this camera is the circuit board that it's mounted on, not the black plastic surround in front of that. So models like the Lizard, which is quite a tight fit in width wise, it will just fit, but it's very snug. It's actually pressing on the board. This wasn't an issue with conductivity or anything like that, but it's not grabbing it super tight, and in one heavy crash it did move a little bit. So to conclude, I'll probably be leaving this in the Lizard. I quite like it. It's a pretty decent camera. I enjoyed using it, but I'm not sure I'd generally choose it over the 1000 TBL Nano camera from Banggood. That's my current favourite so far, and the colour's just more realistic and a little deeper. I'll probably have to do a side-by-side to tell which one works much better at night, but neither of those are really night cameras, and it's probably pretty close. I think this one's a little less grainy, but I'll look for some really sunny days to fly this next, which is really where I think it's going to come into its own. And also a forest with light coming through trees, I'll give it a go there as well, because I think it'll probably perform slightly better than the 1000 TBL. Now really, I'm only talking about cameras that can fit in a stock Lizard. If you're prepared to do some mods or use some wider side plates, you can fit a Runcam Micro in there and what have you, but if it would fit, the AKA3 is my favourite camera with how it deals with colour and light. That's a camera VTX unit all in one, and it's wide so it won't fit. In this kind of light, it does way better than the C600T. So I'll be featuring a bunch of cameras on this channel soon, but that's all for this one. See you later.